So you had a cheat meal while you're on the carnivore diet. Now what? Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Alice. This is my husband, Kevin. I lean more keto and Kevin leans a little bit more carnivore, hence we are the keto carnivore couple. Together, we have gone through our own 90-pound weight loss journey, and our channel is all about spreading the message on this ketogenic, meat-based way of eating and living. Our goal is to help people lose body fat on the carnivore diet. Today's video is all about cheats on the carnivore diet and how to handle yourself after a cheat. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Tip number 1, accept that it already happened. If you can take one thing away from this video, is to not beat yourself up mentally over a cheat because it already happened. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. If you become too down on yourself and engage in too much negative self-talk, you will fall back into that traditional dieting cycle.
When you fall into these traditional dieting thoughts, you feel very restrictive and then you feel deprived, and that leads to turning back to food for emotional comfort, which starts the cycle all over again. Instead, ask yourself, how are you going to handle the situation and move forward from it? The most important thing to do when you've had a cheat meal that you didn't intend on having is to not let it turn into a cheat day, which turns into a cheat weekend, which turns into a cheat week or a cheat month, which in turn basically makes you fall off the diet. The worst thing you can do is let it spiral downhill after you've had a cheat. You have to realize that you have a choice after a cheat meal to bounce back or to continue spiraling. You can't change what already has happened, so don't stress yourself out too much about it. We are all human beings. We've all had cheat meals. We've all had bad days. We are not expected to be perfect. The most important thing is that you are able to bounce back and don't let it get worse from whatever point you are already at.
Tip number 2. Understand that body fat isn't built in a day. It's very easy to jump on the scale the first thing in the morning, the next day, and criticize yourself for food choices, but one cheat meal isn't the end of the world. There's actually lag time between how you perform on your diet and what you see on the scale and what you see for fat loss. Typically at least 2 to 3 weeks. So you actually have to be overeating consistently for at least 2 weeks to see any real data on the scale or on body fat. Remember, your body and the body fat you're holding onto was not built in a day. It was built over time through dietary habits over many years, and also your internal beliefs around food. So unless you ate 10 plates of food at an all-you-can-eat buffet yesterday, it's not likely what you see on the scale was a result of your cheat meal from last night. One thing that does immediately show up though is water retention, especially if you cheated with a big carb meal. If we break ketosis for a day or two, we can immediately tell by the water retention in the mirror the next day. But as long as you don't continue to spiral with multiple cheat meals in a row, this should all go away once you get back onto a ketogenic carnivore diet. Tip number 3, eat a full carnivore meal the next day. This tip is for you if you went all out and had carbs and dessert last night. Your hunger signals may be a little out of whack and you may get sugar cravings the next day, so make sure you eat a full carnivore meal as soon as possible to keep you satiated and get back into fat adaptation mode. Depending on how long you've been doing a carnivore or ketogenic diet, it may take a few days to get back into fat adaptation. This is why we encourage people to not do cheat meals every single weekend. If you cheat on the weekend and get kicked out of ketosis, it takes 2 or 3 days to get back into ketosis, basically eliminating the hard work that you did all week. This pretty much means you're not really on a diet at all since you're just in a standstill. Being low carb just isn't a part-time diet where you can be good during the week and cheat on the weekend.
A lot of people talk about the 80-20 rule when it comes to dieting and having balance, but the problem with having balance and using the 80-20 rule is that some people take that 20 a little bit too far. When you follow the 80-20 rule, it doesn't mean that you can just do whatever you want on the weekend.
I also think psychologically, the faster you can get back onto your carnivore diet and get back on track, the less likely you will go completely off the rails and have your cheat meal turn into a cheat month. Also remember, getting back on the diet as soon as possible does matter. It's easy to push it off after you cheat and be like, I'll start tomorrow. Here's a quote that we like to live by that helps us motivate us in everything we do. Successful people do things now, unsuccessful people do things tomorrow. Now,
if you've been following Kevin and I for the past few months, you'll know that we had an incredibly successful launch of our one-on-one coaching program, the Carnivore Cut. Our current cohort is just finishing up and we are opening applications for the next cohort that will start shortly. If you are interested in one-on-one coaching with Kevin or myself for fat loss on the carnivore diet, the link to apply for the program and to book a free consultation call with us will be in the description below. Tip number 4, remember why you started. Now, dieting and weight loss can be a very lonely journey, especially if you do not have an accountability partner or someone close in your life that you can lean on for support and motivation. Whenever you are going through spurts of having a hard time with this diet, Just go back to the basics and remember why you started. I always recommend writing down your why with a pen and a piece of paper, as well as your ultimate goal, and really visualize how you would feel if you were to reach that goal. To this day, we still write down our physique and our fitness goals every single day with pen and paper. And even though it might seem like a very trivial thing to do, we found it to be a very powerful psychological hack that becomes your guiding North Star in life. Whenever you decide to set a goal and make some sort of improvement in your life, life will always challenge you. And if you've decided that you want to lose weight on the carnivore diet, life will challenge you. There will be temptations, there will be negative people in your life questioning your decisions, and there will be challenging situations where you have to exert your own mental willpower. There will always be the easy route and the easy choice of cheating and breaking your diet. And really the only thing that will keep you going is to just keep remembering your why. Everyone has a different why. Maybe you want to improve your health for once and for all. Maybe you're just sick and tired of feeling physically sick and tired. Maybe you're just tired of feeling embarrassed in your own skin. Just remember this: hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life.
Tip number 5. Do whatever you need to do to reset mentally that doesn't involve food or eating. When you're on a diet and you've been doing it for a while, it sometimes feels like you're obsessing over food, and this is completely normal. So one tip if you fall off the diet and cheat is to actually take your mind off the food. Do something that doesn't involve food or eating just to reset yourself. Here's a couple things that you can do. Do a hard workout. Burn off that extra sugar that you just ingested. You could watch a motivational video on YouTube and have maybe David Goggins yell at you. You could watch one of your favorite influencers on YouTube or Instagram and make sure you're using them as a positive source of inspiration, not in a negative way to feel bad about yourself. Or you could talk to an understanding friend or family member.
One thing that is very common to do after a cheat meal is to beat yourself up mentally and then start comparing yourself to other people's progress. In life, there is nothing more self-defeating and self-deprecating than the comparison game. It's very easy to scroll on social media these days and wonder why other people are getting the results that you want and why other people have the body that you don't have. What you have to realize is that this mindset will never serve you, and it's almost addicting to want to compare yourself to other people. Feel down about yourself, feel sorry about yourself, wonder why you're not good enough, wonder if you'll ever be good enough. But the only person you can compare yourself to is yourself. Don't get me wrong, you can definitely seek inspiration from other people online, but what you see online should be used as a positive light. If you find yourself comparing yourself to other people, beating yourself up, and then perhaps resorting to food to make yourself feel better, just remember that that behavior will never serve you. One more bonus tip for you guys, and that's not to fixate too much on the gap between where you are and where you want to be. So we have our current state, which is where we're at right now, and we have our desired state, which is our end goal and where we want to be. If you focus too much and fixate too much on the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and that's your entire focus, then that will be your life.
So how can you prevent cheating the next time? Here are 3 tips. Tip number 1, next time plan your cheat. You're far less likely to be reactive, and this makes you really think about your food choices in advance. If you're on a strict carnivore diet and you know there will be limited meat options, just try going for keto. It's much better to stay low carb than to do a full-blown carb cheat. Tip number 2, bring your own food to the event. Now, if you're going to somewhere like a potluck or a family dinner, we recommend bringing your own dish to the occasion. That way you can enjoy your own food while still being able to show respect for the social occasion and not be rude or weird.
This last point isn't so much of a tip as it is a reflection, but I think the longer that you've been on this diet, the more you forget about the pleasures of carbs and other foods. Neither of us really miss sugar anymore, think about it, or talk about it. Nowadays, when I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see some photos of dessert or good looking food, it doesn't trigger emotions in my mind anymore. When we used to look at photos of sweets or desserts, it used to trigger emotions in my brain. And I'd be thinking like, oh, that looks really good. My mouth would start watering. Nowadays, if I see a photo of cake or something, it's kind of like looking at a flower or looking at a book. It's like, I see it there, it looks nice, but it looks like just a physical object to me with no emotions or feelings attached to it. Now, if this video has helped you at all today, Kevin and I do have a free training on how to lose fat on the carnivore diet. In this training, Kevin and I go over the top 4 mistakes that people make that hurt or stall their fat loss progress on carnivore, as well as our framework on how to lose fat on the carnivore diet. I will leave a link in the description below.
If you liked our video today, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. It really allows us to help as many people as possible with this way of eating. Leave us a comment down below on how you react to cheating on your diet and how you get back on track.